Alrighty. Good morning, good morning. Good morning, the beggar. Good morning. Okay, so a couple stocks that have moved from yesterday. Okay, just want to make sure my mic is good. Looks like it's good. Good morning, Dagon. Alright. So BBGI, this is one I was holding and honestly held too long yesterday. But I was holding it during this pullback because I really thought that this pullback was on lighter volume. It ended up resolving extremely well, but unfortunately I just sold here. Basically sold the bottom. If it was part of my strategy to have held this long, actually if I can like go to 5 minutes, just I want to do 1 minute with a longer frame. Just want to kind of emphasize this. Right, so I held during this pullback. If I had planned to hold this long, I think I would have been more okay with it. Because this was a higher volatility stock, no news, and I didn't plan to hold this long, I'm not very happy with how I played yesterday. I wanted to make a recap on it, but by the time I got home and was able to do it, it was past market close, and Lightspeed, they remove all the orders after market close. So unfortunately I didn't have access to that, so I ended up just skipping it. But yeah, this one actually had a pretty crazy resolution. The other stock that I looked at, what was it? JAGX. This one also ended up moving. So interesting how this worked out. So I was buying in here during this pullback, and there was a red flag too, and I ignored it, which was whenever this was pulling back, there was a constant maybe 25,000 share seller that would appear. They would get bought up, and then the price would drop, and then another seller would appear. And this happened as it was laddering down. In hindsight, because I was in so high, maybe once I saw the second instance of that seller, that should have been the signal to go, get out of the way. And it did end up rallying, which is interesting, despite it having sold off initially. But yeah. The other trade I showed, me holding longer than I should have, and this one, me not getting out of the way when I had an aggressive entry, despite seeing a red signal. Not really great play by me. So really today, I'm just looking to take more appropriate planned trades. Like if I say I'm going to do something, even if it doesn't work out, it looks like an overextension. If I say I'm going to do it, that's fine. But I really need to stick to what I am saying I'm going to do. Because in this market, it feels like a lot of stocks aren't really holding well, so I can't really... Like, I got away with it kind of on Monday, right? I had a pretty huge winner. And some stocks were moving and holding, so I think that was actually okay. But Tuesday and Wednesday both, a lot of stocks weren't really moving well, right? For the most part, Wednesday was dead, at least pre-market. And there really wasn't many great opportunities. Good morning, Benjamin. But yeah, it looks like today might be another slow day, so I'm really taking this as an opportunity to slow down a bit here, because Not a lot of great opportunities. I overreacted a tiny bit on Tuesday and a little bit more than a tiny bit on Wednesday. So that's a trend that I really got to try and nip in the bud if I can. So CRBP had a huge spike down and spike back up. Probably news on this if I had to guess. We did have news, reports results from phase 1 study. So very interesting. We would have that kind of catalyst drop it from $13 to $8, straight back up to $11.40. Tells me maybe someone initially thought something wasn't true. And it's kind of rallying back up. Probably some kind of mixed results on this. I'll go ahead and remove my watch list from yesterday. Don't need that anymore. I do want to keep BBGI on there. Just considering how it moved. This is still holding above the previous level that it had yesterday. So this is definitely worth keeping on watch. But yeah, looking like not a lot is actually moving today. Right, nothing was gapping before 7 a.m. that I can see anyway. And nothing came out at 7:30 or 7. We do have PPBT, but it is a cheap stock, right? Only $1. What is the float on this thing? Okay, so Lightspeed is saying 500 million. Thinkorswim saying 9 million. I would assume, just looking at the daily, there's some kind of reverse split. Yeah, this looks like reverse splitting territory. Probably some kind of dilution right here. Then maybe right here was a reverse split. That'd be my guess. Good volume inflow. So you had this break of this level into a pretty hard rejection. God. I mean, it really just does not feel like it's a safe environment lately. And the big move that moved yesterday didn't even have news on it. Good morning, Marcel. Good morning, good morning. Yours says approximately 14 million float for CRBP. That's not terribly high. Let me check my two. All right, I'm kind of iffy to mess with this one just because of the huge range. It seems like people think certain things and there's conflicting opinions. I'm gonna look at it though. Yeah, so I got 17 million outstanding on Thinkorswim and 12.2 million on Lightspeed. You're saying 14 million. That's about the same range, right? In the middle. Yeah, I'm iffy if I want to really mess with this one. Good morning, Pierre. I was going to ask you guys to leave likes, but you guys are already on top of that. Good stuff. I appreciate it. And again, for anybody coming in a little bit later here, my apologies for not posting a recap. I was very busy yesterday. Didn't have the time. Just made $120 on AXIL. Awesome stuff. XIL. See, interesting. This one was moving earlier, but it's just kind of been going sideways here since. What was that? There was that stock that had the reverse split yesterday. SVRE, was it? Was that it? I think it was this one. Yeah, I think it was this one. So yeah, you can see there was a bit of range to it. 375-ish to almost 5. So this did have some range yesterday. Bit of a longer shot, but there could be some momentum just because the float's reduced. Buenos dias, Captain. Oh. De nada. Yeah, I think this is a sit tight angle for me. You're wondering if you should use Ross's scanner. So, to be fair, I've used Ross's scanners. They're very good, but they are kind of like branded premium, right? You can find very similar scanners for a lower price. I mean, and even on what I'm using free scanners. So I don't remember how much Ross charges a month for his scanners, but I know it's pretty high. Maybe someone in the chat can clarify. I think it's like around 100 or so. Now that's just me. I don't remember, so I could be completely off on that, but I believe it's a little over 100. And compare that to free alternatives. And even, I remember I was comparing like Dash Trader and some others like that. Even their scanner equivalents were a bit cheaper. Now, Ross has his like 5 pillars scanners that he does. So that's like unique to him. But, I mean, I personally wouldn't use them anymore. But it might be something to at least think about. If you're looking for some kind of scanner that would encapsulate Ross's approach. That's if you're trading his approach. It's a good place to start, too. I would say more of just, you may want to pivot off of that to something else. Because there's probably better cost efficiency-wise ones. Yeah. It's $147 a month. Ooh, it's that high now? I thought it was cheaper. Okay. Ross's scanner plus C guards. Charts. Okay. It's like, what is a C guard? Yeah, okay. 147 is a little bit higher. 197 for non-members. Oof. Okay, I might have to retract. That. That's actually way higher than I thought it was. Yeah, you can definitely get cheaper alternatives to that. Yeah, knowing that now, I'm a little less sold on it. And again, I'm not saying it's bad, right? You're getting value for what you pay. I'm just saying there might be better alternatives, because that's very high. 197, that's extremely high. Yeah, I think I have like my membership's actually going to expire soon, so I'll lose access to the course soon. But I have like 3 months left on my course. Yeah, whenever I used it, I was using it with the membership thing, so I didn't even know there was a non-membership fee if you were a non-member trying to use it. That's crazy. Yeah, good morning, Telemann, if I didn't call you out. Good morning, Marcel. I think for a set of pre-configured alerts, that's pretty expensive. Yeah, like, I understand Ross is configuring for his approach, and anyone taking his course is probably going to want scanners for his approach. I respect that. But you can have other scanners that are actually, like, highly configurable for a much lower price. I mean, at that point, you're really buying the Ross brand, right? You're buying his premium brand. Has everyone hit the like button? Well, I mean, since there's 30 viewers and 11 likes, I would say probably not everybody, though I do appreciate those who have hit the like button. No, we can't do... I refuse to do the shaming tactic. If you're liking the stream, I appreciate you even being here. Leaving a like is just an extra. No pressure. It is relative. When you have a 25K account and make 1,000 a day, it's kind of cheap. I get that, but again, you're talking about configurability, and Ross's scanners, to my reference, weren't as configurable as other scanners. Heck, even Thinkorswim scanners are very customizable. There's a lot of things you can do with them, and yeah, I don't know if that price point really justifies those kind of scanners. I mean, so effective is relative, right? It's always relative to cost. And just to compare Thinkorswim scanners, they're completely free. Granted, they are slightly less efficient. Many times you'll notice that when a stock is moving, I'll miss the first 1 or 2 minutes because either they're slightly configured for delay or I'm being a little more broad in the range I'm looking for. To me, that trade-off, missing the first like few minutes of a move is fine. But like, I mean, just from my experience, you could try Dash Trader as well. That one's definitely cheaper, and the scanners are just as good, in my opinion. Those are the only 2 scanners I've used. I don't know if like Webull has a scanner. I would definitely experiment around. I mean, I fully recommend Thinkorswim. I use it, so I fully recommend it. It's highly, highly customizable, and it's free. But if you're looking for extreme efficiency and you're willing to pay that premium price, like if you're making $1,000 a day and you say, I don't want to mess around with customizing, I just want something that shows me Ross's strategy or Ross-like strategies, then yeah, then the price point becomes more valid. Right, look at it another way too. Like Ross's course is extremely expensive. Now, you could look up all that stuff for free, but if your time is very valuable, right? If you're like, I don't know, a regional manager for a company and you're like, I don't have time to look on YouTube for all this free stuff and mess around, then paying $3,000 to shorten that time could make sense. No, Webull only has a screener and it's less efficient than Finviz. Oh god. Yeah, because I've used Webull and I wasn't aware if they had a scanner or not. I never saw one. Right, I mean, at best you have like a watch list, but that's like nothing. That doesn't tell you anything. My god, not gonna touch this one, but what the heck happened with Walk? Look at this. Jesus. Rugpool City with this one. Was this a secondary offering, or? That's crazy. crazy. This was not a secondary offering? Wow, it must have been a rug pull. And if you have to manually refresh it, it sucks, yeah. Right, even with Thinkorswim scanners, they only update on certain intervals. It's pretty frequent. It's only like every few minutes. But because it updates every few intervals, if there's a stock that runs and you get a bad interval timing, you might have to wait 2 or 3 minutes to see that stock show up. So, yeah, if you're looking to capture the first few minutes of a move, then Thinkorswim is going to give you issues, definitely. I personally don't think it's that big of a deal, but if that's something that's unacceptable for you, or whatever you're trying to do, then that could be a deal breaker. CRBP is fully recovered here. Wow, 21 likes? What the hey? Yo, you guys are awesome. That's a crazy amount of likes this early. Appreciate it. Yeah, so whoever sold this off initially, there was probably just a incorrect reaction. Yeah, whoever's stepping up here, somebody seems to think differently. All right, we've clearly broke through this level. Super, super high volume. I might get engaged with this one. Yeah. Really nice micro pullback if anyone took that. I was thinking about it, but didn't quite have the conviction to pull the trigger. Would have been a 1/4 size trade. Although, to be fair, this rolled over, so dodged a bullet with that. Quite a reversal. Yeah, trading these front sides of the move just seems very dangerous lately. You use Arcane Monitor on YouTube. It's about 6-second delay and alerts, not customizable, but it is a low float small cap scanner. For Webull, you have top gainers and losers widgets. That's kind of helpful, but not super helpful. Yeah, so you had a huge flood of volume on this dump. A bit of a red flag here is that this curled up on very low volume. We only actually got significant volume about here. We'll try to get in here, though. If I can. Yeah, I had an order for 1184. Didn't get filled. This was a good setup, too. Not the best setup, though. There is a better setup. Yeah. Okay, only in for quarter size. This was a much better entry. Very nice hit, honestly. Yeah, that was probably closer to an A or an A plus quality. So I was looking at this 2 different times once we were at around this level. The problem is still relative to this move. This was still actually a bit extended. Not tradable on Thinkorswim. That feels like every stock lately. If you're trying to trade small caps with Thinkorswim, you basically just have to use it for the scanner, because it really feels like half of the low float stocks you just can't trade on Thinkorswim. They're getting very picky on what you're allowed to trade now. That was a beautiful entry by me. 1130? What was the low? 1119. So I was 11 cents off of the low of this pullback. Honestly, very good entry. Okay, sometimes this thing bugs out when I'm opening this. There we go. Same thing with Fidelity. I'll be honest. I've tried to use Fidelity. It is so incredibly slow for execution speed. I just can't use it. I've tried to use Fidelity. I mean, I don't know if they have good scanners or something, but at least in terms of execution speed, really suboptimal. All right, we're coming on the half hour here. See if we get any news that comes out. Alrighty. Worth mentioning NXDR from yesterday. So this is one I was watching. The float was way too high on it to trade it, but this did end up resolving well. What about AXIL? I can't remember what my assessment was of that one. Yeah, this one looking steady, right? We've gapped up significantly. We're holding the gap. This one is definitely interesting to keep on watch. We are towards the lows, and volume isn't really as high as the highest peaks of volume. Definitely in play though, right? You definitely want to keep an eye on this one. I don't think it's really in play at this exact moment, but in terms of being like in play today or in play in an hour or two, this one definitely could become relevant. Yeah, it's per share. So, yeah, they have per trade and per share. So I do it per share. Just a simple way to look at it would be for every full 100 shares I rotate, it is 70 cents per. So in other words, with 100 shares, I'm losing 0.7 cents per trade. You said something else too, right? Or, no, okay, another person asks, what gave you the conviction to enter below daily 200? I'm going to go back to it. Your BP. Again, I was looking at the volume profile. Ignore the actual volume of this pullback. Start by just looking at how on this move up, we had extremely low volume. And even on this pop, this was still actually pretty low volume relative to the move. So the actual volume started here. And you can see it immediately reversed. So I was thinking initially about entering here because this was on descending volume. But once I recognized that this was descending volume relative to this, that invalidated this to me. I really wanted to see price return to this level. So when we saw that happen, it was this area that I had higher conviction. ACIU. Ooh, good call out on that. 100 million shares outstanding, though, on Lightspeed. Yeah, same with Thinkorswim. So this is a very, very high float stock. Looks like it, too, on the daily, right? This is almost barcoding in some instances. Yeah, this has very, very little range. This actually had news that came out at 7. And I guess it was halted. Yeah, it was a halt. Okay. So I guess there was really strong news for this stock that came out, so they wanted to halt it. Explains why it gapped up. But yeah, this the high float kind of rules this out for me. Like 100 million, that's pretty high. What are we ranging on this? Just curious. It's a Chinese stock too. Oh no. Okay, that makes it a lot worse. Is it actually Chinese stock? I gotta check. Well, it says it's headquartered in Switzerland. But yeah, I'm iffy on it just because of the very high float. It does definitely have the range though, right? 420 moves down to 320. So dollar range is honestly good range. Even looking at the level 2, it looks pretty thinly traded at the moment. There's some people stepping in, but it's not like super thick, right? You have a little bit of a spread, maybe like a 4-cent spread. Not a huge amount of buyers and sellers on the bid and ask. Yeah, I just don't have... I feel like this is going to eventually tighten up, just given how high the float is. Perhaps because this was a gap and unhalt, market makers weren't willing to step in initially. But I would suspect that this is going to start to tighten up and the spread is going to tighten along with the Spread starting to become more crowded. I'm actually kind of confused why we haven't seen that yet, right? The spread is still very thinly traded, despite it being such a high float. So I'm wondering if maybe there's something to that. Right, the stock's been unhalted for 8 minutes. You would have thought it would have tightened up by now. Nice breakout on volume here. Am I underestimating this? Is there more to this? I kind of ruled it out just because of the high float. But it feels like market makers aren't really stopping it either. Right, this is a very clean breakout. High volume resolution on it. Good morning. Good morning, sir. Note AMR, no teamer. Daily resistance at 4. Yeah, very clear daily resistance. That could be a buy point, honestly. Low 4s. Might buy a pullback. Yeah. I went ahead and took a pullback here, a little above 4. Mainly looking at this low volume on the pullback and daily support. We'll see if we get a bounce or not. Okay, sold half into the breakout, still holding half. Looking for an extension up to maybe 440. Okay, I just cut the rest there. Yeah, I was hoping for an immediate breakout to 440. Didn't quite get it. Yeah, that pullback to daily support was very, very clean. Immediate resolution. Only a half-size trade, though. Fine. Only $7 on it. No, yeah, that was a really nice base hit. Not only just the base hit, but it was a very clean setup. Very clear pullback level. Right? $4 was very clearly support. So I bought a little bit above it. What was the low? So the low was 405. So I was 3 cents from the low. So my entry was pretty decent. And my exit... So I wanted to see 440 break with conviction. When we went up and we hit just under 440, that signaled to me weakness. So I cut the trade a little early at 435. The second half, I mean. See, I could have squeezed out, if I had timed the top a bit better, I could have gotten like another 7 cents from it. But still a pretty solid trade. I captured 3/4 of this curl here. Yeah, buying this felt unsafe to me. We had high volume on this pullback. I mean, it's fully recovered to its credit, but I didn't believe that this was going to recover. You made $7 because you were too scared to take 100 shares? I was too scared to take 100 shares. I only took 50, right? Well, not conviction, but just because of how much this is moving, I didn't have conviction to take normal size. So if you took reduced size because you were afraid of the movement, then I totally respect that. And I mean, I did the same thing. I reduced size as well. I also don't have conviction to add right now because the way stocks have been acting, even though we've had some really good movers, I feel like I've been getting punished for holding too long or adding to winners. It feels very primitive to capture base hits and sell, but considering that me adding to winners has not been working well lately, just taking the base hit seems okay. We're kind of ranging now. Like the $4 support was good for this initial pullback entry, but now that we're kind of ranging back and forth, I don't have quite as much conviction in this $4 level to hold. It could still hold, of course. It is daily support now, but I feel like it's been tested once, twice, 3 times. And I'm getting worried that this could be the start of a potential head and shoulders. Same, you took 52? I see. See, I'm even hiding my orders and people were still copying my share size. I can't believe this. How could this happen? Okay, so we got some lower volume on this pullback. Still too high, but this looks slightly bullish. In its defense, too, we are still definitely on the front side of the move, right? This hasn't broken below this level here. So this is still definitely in bullish territory. I think I want to wait for something cleaner, though, because this doesn't feel super clean. I mean, even a 1-minute high would probably be a better setup. Any thoughts on Netflix chart? Man, I can't speak today. Any thoughts on Netflix chart? What is Netflix ticker? Is it NFLX? I believe this is Netflix. Yeah. Okay, so pretty big pullback. This stock reverse split, right? Because this was definitely a higher price than this. So this is, or not a reverse split, just a regular split. I mean, when you're talking about a bigger company like Netflix, just compare it to the SPY real quick, right? SPY is clearly going to all-time highs. NFLX clearly on a pullback. So this is a fundamental issue. So I wouldn't really go off the chart. I would really say you need to look at the fundamentals and go from there. When you're looking at large cap stocks, it's less about chart patterns and it's more about fundamentals because these are more established companies. The chart patterns are really just large institutional buying and selling pressure. The fundamentals will tell you much more than I could. Right? Chart patterns are much more useful for small caps, stocks that are more emotion driven and news driven, like immediate news driven. Look at RZLT. Check it out. What the? Is this like a split? What is this? Oh no. Did not meet its primary and second endpoints. It died. Oh no, look at that daily. It just kept going and going. Man, it's almost like tempting to buy that just for like any kind of bounce. What is that, like a 90% drop? 90% drop? What did it low? Low was at 94. You actually got a pretty good descending volume pattern here too. Man, it's tempting to hold this for just like a swing. Right, we kind of curled back from 94 back above $1. Huge volume inflow here as it goes down to 90 cents. Dude, that's crazy. Holy crap. Yesterday evening, there were a few around negative 95. There's no way. 95, even for biotech stocks, 90% drops are kind of unnormal, right? That's pretty uncommon. That's an insane drop. Yeah, it's tempting to want to buy this, but the problem is I've seen these kind of stocks before. There's definitely potential for a curl. I'm absolutely, like, I am actually pretty bullish on this, but I'm only bullish because of the massive amount it's gapped down. But at the same time, it's a bit difficult to know for sure when the bleeding will stop. Timing that can be very, very difficult. We had this descending volume too, which made me actually a bit interested in it. But, no, seeing the volume kind of return here makes me more iffy. I'm actually going to keep this one on watch though, because this one's very interesting. But no, I don't think I want to buy it here. You're watching ALPC. What is it, ATPC? Yeah. So this one's just too cheap for me. My God. What was this from? $1.12 to 4 cents. Like, this one's got to be Chinese, right? There's no way this one isn't a Chinese company. Malaysia. Okay. All right. Yeah, because, like, even technically speaking, right, if you would buy at the lows of 4 cents, right, went up to 20 cents, that's a 5x return. So there's definitely, like, bounce potential. The problem is like, even looking at this, if you buy here, well, actually, that would have still been in green. But, like, there's a lot of times where if you buy at any point during this, like, if you bought at 20 cents thinking this thing went from $1.20 to 20 cents, it's got to bounce, and then it just goes down to 4 cents. Right? You just lose 80% of your money. It's such a high risk. Yeah, and so this one's been pulling back quite a lot here. What I was saying seems to be true about the $4 level. It felt like it was getting too pressured, and it looks like it did eventually crack. Yeah, okay, yeah. So worth noting now, I want to go ahead and point this out. The level 2 on ACIU is now very, very thickly traded. So it looks like on this move up, market makers were mostly out of the way, not touching it. And now the level 2 is very thick, very crowded. You can actually see that in the price action too, right? This is a very controlled move. Yeah. This isn't really safe to touch now. Market makers are back in play with it. And it's a 100 million share outstanding stock. Yeah, I'm not used to seeing stocks. Like, maybe it's just because I don't look for the biggest losers much. But I'm not used to stocks dumping 90% plus every day. Right? The fact you could show me multiple that went down 90%, it's kind of surprising to me. Maybe it's just a bad timing thing. But very surprising. Yeah, we're not getting super high quality too, right? ACIU, 100 million shares for it. CRBP. This one was very choppy. Just given how this move played out. Very choppy. Did I see Europe yesterday? Crazy, man. What happened? I did not see it. I'll be honest, I was super busy yesterday. If anything happened yesterday, I just did not. I don't know about it. SMX moving. Ooh. All right, just made a little $30 on RZLT. Good stuff. Good stuff. Yeah, I see it did bounce a little bit, right? It went down to 90 cents on that flush, and it recovered $1. Pretty nice. I'll check out SMX, though. Tractors and tanks took over lot. There's no way. There's no way. Also, you're totally right about SMX. Whoa. Dude, there's no way. Is this gonna make a new high? There's no way, right? Like, look how much it has to move. But, like, it did base out here for 3 days. Dude, if this squeezes somebody here, imagine this thing goes to, like, 2,000. You might call me crazy, but the fact this thing went to 500 already is crazy. So it feels like almost anything's on the table. MIGI. This stock... Yeah, this stock was in play yesterday too, and it just kind of died immediately. So this had a history of doing poorly, at least yesterday, but it looks like intraday it did very well. So even though I have negative sentiment towards it, maybe my sentiment is unjustified. MIGI, what is the float? Okay, we got 18 million on Lightspeed, 1 million on Thinkorswim. Okay. Level 2 looks pretty thin. No news though. So really this would just be a continuation of yesterday. I don't know. The lack of the news kind of makes me iffy. This also had a fake out pre-market yesterday as well. So keeping that in mind. Pretty nice pop on it though. Even with just no news, just a 750 to 950 pop. It's a pretty big move. It filed a Form 8 today. Let's see. How do you keep your... I'll keep from flinging your laptop across the room when you're stupid and didn't exit in time. That's what pillows are for. You just cry into pillows. But no, it's... I was actually pretty frustrated yesterday because for those of you that stuck around and saw, I basically held a stock longer than I should have because I was just so convicted in it. I had high conviction. And then literally, I kid you not, the moment it sold, that I sold, it ended up squeezing like 20% into a halt up and then gapped up like another 10%. So I had such high conviction, broke my rules to stay in the trade, and then immediately after I bailed, it just basically spit in my face. So I felt really, really frustrated yesterday seeing that. Where was it? I can show you real quick. So BBGI. Yeah, I want to keep it on 1 minute. Yeah, so I bought this stock during this pullback here. And I intended to hold for a curl and sell if it broke through here. But it was breaking through here on light volume. So I was willing to hold. And I sold right here during this breakdown. And this is a 1 minute chart. So basically right after I sold here, it does this. Like... very, very frustrating. I would say if you get frustrated, it's probably best just to walk away. Stop trading. Yes, you saw it stayed even longer. Yeah, I shouldn't have stayed that long. Even if I had high... So here's the thing, okay? And this is kind of what I was concluding from yesterday. If you have high conviction in something and you say before you take the trade, I'm going to hold this one up to 20 or 30 minutes. So well, I'll say, just to give a clean number, I'll say up to half an hour, I'm willing to hold this. Then if you hold it half an hour, that's acceptable. But I didn't declare that. I didn't intend to hold it that long. I had a clear point I was willing to hold it to. It went through that level. And I saw no signal to sell. So what happens then? Because I said I was going to hold it for X amount of time and to X price. And then I didn't sell whenever price violated that rule. Right? It's difficult. And that's part of the biggest challenge of trading is adhering to rules. Yeah, I feel like yesterday I just didn't do a very good job of that. Yeah, AXIL, I still have it on a side chart. Looks like it's kind of consolidated near the lows. Could break down, could break out. Either way, I'm not super interested in it here because the volume's a little bit lower at the moment. And yeah, this stock I'm just really not interested in. Right, we just kind of popped up here. No volume. Sold back off. Also on this move up here, non-existent volume. This was a move on no volume. Very suspicious. Man, I'm so stuffy today. Yeah, popped 2 minutes after I ended the stream. Very, very frustrating. YouTube just recommended me to your page. Good morning. Good morning, sir. Welcome, welcome. Only 2 trades for me today, for anyone who hasn't seen me yet today. Only 2 trades today. Still a very slow day. I got very lucky, too. Both of these were actually pretty solid hits. I captured most of the move on them. But, yeah, we haven't really seen many super ideal setups. I did think temporarily about trading that penny stock that was down 90%, but just didn't really have the conviction. And same thing with MIGI. After this kind of faked me out yesterday, I didn't really want to touch this one either. I'm not really surprised it rolled over. No volume, or no news for it. Keeping your eye on B today. B. What did that one do? I can't remember what this one did. So this one kind of just... Wow, why do I not remember? Oh yeah, this was the one that moved super slowly. That's right. Cheaper stock, moves slower. So this one did end up holding up. But it didn't really do anything too crazy, if I'm being honest, right? 125 to 170, that might seem like a lot, but this is a very slow move. Right, this took hours to play out. Yeah. And after I got screwed, because I traded this one yesterday, I was net green on it. But, yeah, on this spike here, I really just got faked out. Because you'd think on this high of a volume spike, you'd see some kind of hold up. But it just gave back the entire thing. So yeah, I kind of got faked out on that. But yeah, MIGI gave back basically the whole move. It is trying to bounce here now. And I mean, to be fair, it does have huge bounce potential, right? $7 to $8. It's so... This is a stock that moves. It just also sells off pretty dramatically. It's been moving higher again. It's been moving higher on light volume again during pre-market. Yeah. Yeah, that's always very strange or suspicious to me when a stock is moving incrementally up on light volume and then all of a sudden you just see large volume. I don't really trust that as much. CETX, I'll check it out. Okay, we have some volume coming in. High relative volume to earlier this morning. Go ahead and zoom out here a little. So yeah, we are definitely still on the backside. You got a clear resistance here at around this 440 level. On daily. Yeah, basically the same. Even on daily, 440 is critical resistance. Yeah. Okay, so there was news on it at least. Highlights profitability focus, strategic transformation, and progress towards portfolio expansion. That's a whole lot of ways to say we're trying to change and that we're not profitable. But in any case, looks like we're responding well. I wouldn't want to buy here just because of daily resistance at 440 is very clear. But, I mean, I guess best case scenario, we break and go to like 450 and we pull back to 440. I feel like that'd be best case. Then maybe I could enter on the pullback. Right, if we touch 440 and we pull back, I mean, I don't really know. Because a lot of people are going to then kind of respect 440 even more. And who's going to buy it like 425 with 440 as resistance at that point? Okay, are seeing a breakout. So 440 did get broken. Let's see if we pull back to 440. Very high volume here. I'm iffy. Like this doesn't feel super clean, right? You got this topping tail. Yeah, I wanted to buy a 440, but just the way this formed this very nasty topping tail. Right? This wasn't a very soft, gentle pullback. This was a very violent rug for 470 down. PETS. Pull it up on a side chart. Ooh, you're totally right about PETS too. It's possible that this was going to break out, but PETS stole the attention. I'll look at that in a moment. I want to look at this for now because this is definitely in play. Okay, no news. Don't like that. Daily chart looks pretty awful. You do have support though at around 180. All right, so if this breaks down to like 190, you could see that maybe hold. Low volume on this spike, high volume on the sell-off. Don't like it. I don't like it. Not immediately rejecting though, which is a bit uncanny. Hmm. Yeah, 20 million shares outstanding as well. So higher float, no news. It's possible this is just very beaten up and the short interest is high. So that is a possibility, right? We did base out here, but I'm just not really that sold on it. More bearish. If I'm being honest, I actually feel like a safer entry would probably be like high 170s. Call me crazy. ACIU completely dying. Just want to pivot to that real quick. Show that. So this one, yeah, this just had a very hard bleed. Had kind of a bounce here. And then just this nasty rug. So we'll see how this one goes. I'm more bearish, right? I didn't want to buy for this curl. What could I have gotten? So 217 to 240. So this was actually, or not 240, 239. Yeah. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and throw an order up here. I don't think it's going to hit, but in the off chance it does, I think I would be interested. BMRA. Don't worry, I haven't forgotten about your AXIL. I'm just focusing on stocks in play in the immediate. Yeah, BMRA looks more in play. Right, it's higher. Well, I say that, but the volume looks terrible. Yeah, so we do have news on it, but this volume is non-existent. Because it has news, I'll keep it on watch, but I'm not that impressed by it. And PETS still holding around that $2 level. I'm looking for 170s for an entry. Since the other two aren't in play, I'll go ahead and pivot, look at your XIL. Yeah, so this one's harder to judge, right? You're having random increases in volume, but it's nothing nothing super noteworthy. And the way it moves has been very slow. Right, this feels like a massive range bound. Right, you got clear support down here. Looks like the support may have held. But yeah, we're really just having this huge range back and forth. Volume isn't creating new volume highs, right? This is the clear peak of volume. We're not replicating that with any of this. So to me, it's just a bunch of noise, if I'm being honest. Yeah, BMRA looks like it just kind of rolled over. There's just no volume behind this. The news isn't even that bad, right? Egyptian Drug Authority authorizes Bioamerica's complete screening test portfolio. That sounds like a neutral catalyst, if anything. The fact that there's just like nothing going on with it, kind of sad. You're out 60-cent gain on the 15-second chart. Nice stuff. Nice stuff. SETX. So 140 proved to be a bigger resistance. We did break. This would be a pullback to enter. I'm a bit worried though because of this candle. This kind of is signaling to me that maybe I can't trust this move. Like this would be a clean entry here, but I just don't know if I trust... I don't know if I trust this not to do another massive spike down. I do want to touch on BMRA just a little more here. Only because this is a pretty big move down, right? 306 down to 230. That's a pretty big drop. This was on only 3,700 volume. What is the spread on this? Okay, yeah, 35-cent spread. Yeah. I actually want to keep an eye on this one. It's out of play at the moment, but if it's going to move that quickly on that low volume, there could be something to keep an eye on there. Okay, so you had a false breakdown, quick recovery. I don't know, I'm just kind of torn on this one. This kind of ruined my conviction. Yeah, I'm still watching pets. Yeah. I feel like pets actually has the bigger opportunity here. The fact that this candle had higher volume than all of this is significant. Good job fishing. Had a crap fill, lost money. Yeah. I hate it whenever that happens. Was it like just a bad spread fill, or was it just you bought at the upper end of a range? Okay, so super high volume on this pop. 20 million shares and no news though, right? The no news is really what's making this iffy. But BBGI did move on no news as well yesterday. So there's that. But this is 20 million shares. BBGI was like 1 million or something. CETX. CETX really moving now too. Yeah, so yeah, CETX and PETS. Both of these look like potentially in play. I'm still very thrown off by this candle, though. Does PETS have breaking news? Just out of curiosity, do you not use B% or W%R? I don't know what that one means. Tried to sell on the spike, but it went down from down in the fill. Oh, yeah. First time watching your channel from VA. Well, greetings. Hello, hello. If you guys are enjoying the stream, by the way, I would appreciate it if you subscribe. This is a smaller channel, trying to grow it. Any support is much appreciated, but no pressure. Pets filed SEC. I see. Yeah, that is the one problem, too, with the news reporting from Thinkorswim. Sometimes I miss information. It's not super often. Okay, they just now did it. Gotcha, gotcha. Understood. Okay, now that we have news, the stock has a lot more power, just because now there's news backing it. Right, I would upgrade the quality of this because of that. Still having very high volume. The level 2 is very thick, though. Which is a little bit of a red flag. CETX really breaking out here. I keep jumping back and forth between these two because they're both just really good. Really good in play at the moment. Yeah, we're seeing increasing volume. Unfortunately, this candle, not really great to see this kind of candle on the highest volume. Still, huge move, right? 460 to 520. Huge move. I imagine this must be where Ross got in, given the volume spike. Yeah, we've seen two instances of topping tails with high volume. Note, too, that these two candles are the highest volume candles in their areas. And they're both topping tails. This one we had a spike up, but on lower volume. It's getting a bit noisy. Yeah, Ross Cameron. He's another YouTuber. Big YouTuber. A lot of times when you see higher volume, there's a chance that he was involved with it. This is a joke. KYO, worth a watch. I'll take a look at it here on the side charts. Yeah, it's definitely moving. I'll swap over real quick to it. No news, but you are right that the volume is suspiciously elevated. What's the float looking like? Yeah, 20 million. You're right that the volume looks interesting, but no news, and the fact that the volume is still relatively low, kind of red flags to me. But yeah, maybe worth watching. I know who he is, good content. Yeah, he puts a lot of effort into his work. Yeah, so you've kind of had this one just slowly stair-stepping up. It's about 16 million reasons to watch, yeah. So here, a breakdown to 440s would be interesting, right? Because we had 440 as support from the daily. So 440s is very interesting to me here. Maybe even 450s, or maybe just high 440s. Right, because this is a high volume candle. We could start to see selling pressure here. Low volume pullback. Okay, took half size here. If we go into 440s, I might add. Okay, I did add. Now let's see if this just completely rolls over or bounces. Hmm. Yeah, looks like this might just be pressured selling. We'll see. 440's holding for now. Maybe I got too aggressive on the initial entry. I'm actually going to cut it here. I'm a bit worried with this consistent pressure. Very nice move on MIGI. You asked about B%. It's great for beginner traders to realize their buy zones, check it out in your indicators. Personally, don't trade without looking at my WR%. It's the only indicator I use. Yeah, I still don't know what that means, though. I don't know what that stands for, or like, is there a term that's used for that? B%? So just saying, you should check your B%. I don't know what B% means. Yeah, so I was looking for this to hold around 440 and curl, but seeing that there was elevated volume and it was consistent, this looks like possible distribution to me. Granted, on the initial pulls down, these were lighter volume, so that's bullish. But just given how we didn't really see it recapture 450, and seeing how these candles were all the same relative volume, significant signals of distribution. Yeah. Low volume on the break, but I'm still concerned about distribution. We'll try and start another one here, though, because this was low volume on the break. Short score above 70 is too much. Let's see. Yeah, pets definitely looks still in play. Yeah, VS looks good. BTTC also looks good. Honestly, I might just want to cut this one. Very small winner on it. Didn't really get the curl I was looking for immediately. Still looks decent, but now that we have two stocks in play, that might just diverge too much traffic. See, if VS does have news, definitive agreement. I mean, this is solid news. What was the other one's news? BTTC introduces debt plus and releases first pillar focused of unity-driven digital asset participation. That's a lot of words, right? BTTC has medium dilution potential, not high. Well, on the daily, we had a huge spike on it, and we've kind of just sold off. We've ranged here for a bit, so bag holder pressure is somewhat diminished. 375 is the clear resistance. We're completely over that. I mean, basically $5 is the next resistance. We're right at that. Yeah, BTTC seems like it's getting more interest than VS. Very big range. Yeah, huge range on this. 70 cents on a breakout. This needs lower size. It's not getting pump and dumped in pump and dump groups. I don't know why you would know that, but fair enough. As per Bear Cave report. Okay. I was just like, why do you know that? That's kind of weird. Okay, but if there's like a group that reports on that, that's fair. B% indicator auto finds relative price between B bands. Check it out. It's saved for me. Yeah. Sure, I'll go ahead. Pull up a notepad. Save that. B% indicator for B bands. I'll check it out later. Thank you. So we're seeing increasing volume on all of this move. Right? Had almost a fake out here, right? 546. Then we squeezed up basically another $1.50. Already 100%. Yeah, this one is really, really moving. Looks like it's struggling to get over 680. Might be a seller at 680 right now. VS is actually dumping here. I'm actually a little bit interested in this. $32,000. Yeah, if this goes into 20s, I'd probably be interested. Yeah, we are seeing that. Do have an order out on this one. Let's see if I get hit. BCCT, it looks like it's pulling back a bit here. Yeah, good luck to anyone trading that. All right, so we have a 1 minute high, but this is very extended. Hmm. Yeah, so a lot of fake outs up here. Both directions. Good stuff, Pierre. That's awesome. Hmm. Actually gonna drop to 1/8 size for this one just because of how much it's moving. I'm gonna engage with it. Don't want to be risking a huge amount. CISS horrible liquidation. Yeah. That's a rug there. Yep. Yeah, this was choppy, right? Anyone that bought on this 1 minute pullback might have gotten spooked out here. Whoa, very huge squeeze there. Basically went up and touched 10. Hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's always tempting in hindsight, right? Obviously, could have made money in hindsight on this, but that's always the risk. You don't know when it's going to roll over. Ross will be six figures today? Probably. Knowing him. Like, I got 100% short squeeze on PTTC. It seems like someone has been selling here this whole time. Because this bounce here should have been stronger. There might be a hidden seller here at around 920s. Still in with 10%. Good luck, man. I mean, it's significantly up here. He's up 25K. Hmm. Yeah, there's definitely somebody who's been selling here now. This is clear. Pretty high volume on this break. Could resolve into something bigger. Yeah, 725 is where I'm looking to. Maybe 730s. Really holding up well here at 8, though. If this wasn't such high volume on this breakdown, I'd be more inclined to buy here. We ended up going to 770s. I was going to say 730s initially, but because of this consolidation, maybe not. Was this a dollar move? Yeah, dollar move. So let's see how this acts at 925 if we get there. Because this is where I was really struggling to break out. Straight up to it. Wow. What a huge breakout. Okay, took a very small size here for a curl. That was a pretty big breakout into retracement. Was really hoping for the reclaim of 10 on that. Yeah, it's still struggling to break through 10. Yeah, I gotta cut this. That's unfortunate. Struggling too much to hold here at 920s. I'm afraid it's gonna break back down. There was someone at $10 there that was holding it down multiple times. Now I'm afraid that 925 is gonna break. If it breaks, it's gonna flush more. I mean, it broke through 920s, but it's not really flushing that hard. Their 10 finally broke. Only went up about 10 cents, though. My read is that there's somebody selling around 10. Right? We struggled to break through it multiple times, and when we did break through it, we only went 10 cents above before flushing. This might be the top. You're about to jump in? Good luck, man. Your average went up to 683. Still have plenty of room. No, yeah, 683. You're still way above water. Absolutely great position. Okay, much better break above 10 this time. Really hard rejection back under 10. Okay. Yeah, this thing is just ranging like crazy. I thought we were at the top already, but maybe I'm wrong. Safari made $4 and lost 5 on BTCC. Hey, you and me both. I'm also down $5 on BTTC. You're at around 250 profit. That's awesome, Pierre. That's awesome. Is momentum back? Who knows? This was a nice day, though. Unfortunately, I didn't really capture BTTC well. I'm still wondering, like, I mean, I sound like a broken record now, but I keep saying to myself, is this the backside? I thought this was the backside here, and then it went up a little more. And I'm also wondering, again, is this the backside? But at this point, like, I'm not even sure anymore. The reality is like, this still hasn't broken down from this either. So if this ends up holding and people went short, you could see a follow-up, and it's really hard to predict the exact top of this. Still no trades. I'm a little hesitant in this market. Don't want to chase. Yeah, I mean, I've only taken one trade on BTTC. I really, like, it feels like such a chase to try and buy on, like, this kind of part of the move. It's just, it's so extended. Yeah. Good morning, BK. Good morning, good morning. All right, we're coming up on the top of the hour here. I'll stick around for a little longer, if anything, just to see how this stock holds up, regardless if we see stocks come up on the scanners. One final reminder that if you guys are new here and you're liking what you're seeing, I would appreciate a sub. It would help me out trying to grow the channel. It's still pretty small right now, but no pressure. This is a friendly reminder to hit the like button. Exactly. So you get it. Exactly. Although I guess hitting the like button won't help too much more, right? Because I'm about to end the stream shortly. So glad to find a small cap community outside. Yeah. Just trying to build something because I don't see a lot of people streaming much. Nice info art. Thank you. That's an interesting way to describe it, info art. So we've actually had reduced volume these last 4 minutes, right? This volume is significantly lower than this entire move. Maybe indicative that there's no more buying pressure from someone covering, right? If this was covering volume, and now this volume's dried up, maybe this indicates here whoever was covering is done. Right, because the volume's dried up. If that's true, we would expect it to start to decline from here. Have a good one all, and thank you for the stream, Captain. Appreciate it, Ben. Yeah, I want to see how Ben did today, if he went green or not. I mean, with BTTC, like, if he's trading front sides, I would lean towards he's probably green today, but I mean, to be fair, I'm red on it, so. And also, I feel like, am I the only one that feels like an idiot sometimes when you see a stock like this and you're red on it, you know? Like, it makes you feel like, how could you have possibly lost money on this? Like, I'm green on the day, but just knowing that I'm red on a stock that's run like this, it can feel a bit demoralizing sometimes. You're green. We'll have a recap later in the day. All right. Looking forward to it. Nah, been there too many times. Yeah. RETO, pretty massive rug. 345, 260. Jeez. Or no, that's not 45. 35 to 260. Still pretty big rug. Red flag city, though. Increasing on low volume. You only get the volume spikes at this half. Yeah, if we see this go to like 240s, I'd be interested. BTTC. Continuing lower here. This may have just been the top. The fact that we're seeing decreased volume could indicate that whoever was covering here is gone. Hard to say for sure. But that would be an interesting theory to see if that holds up what I was saying. Rito continuing down as well. Nice pop back up there. I was looking for 40s or high 30s to get in. Ross was down 9K. He's up over 40K. Got it. It doesn't look like we have news at the top of the hour here. I'll still watch BTTC a little longer. If we get a bit more of a pullback, I might be interested in jumping in here. Yeah, the RETO bounce already happened, so a bit too conservative on that one, but that's fine. Gratitude for your efforts, Captain. Gratitude for all that put up with my bad jokes. I'm out of money, so I'm out for the day. Yeah, I'm debating wrapping up here as well. BTTC curling, so my bounce play is more or less invalidated. And since we're at 5 minutes, honestly, I mean, the only other thing is maybe Rito. Like, this one's close to being in play. Just the way this is setting up. Yeah. We'll see. This is good volume. Okay, this one's kind of setting up here. All right, did get a fill here. Entry's pretty decent. See if we get any good follow through with this. is it just going to fully push down? All right, I'll take that. Very nice hit right before I'm leaving. So this was a very big overextension here. I was aiming for 36, was able to get 35, so nice hit on that. So yeah, managed to recover most of the losses, basically ending the day at the highs. High was 30, so nice recovery there right at the end. But yeah, I'm going to wrap it up here, head out for the day. If you like the stream, hit the like button, subscribe if you want to see more. I'll be back tomorrow. You guys have a good rest.